The video you're about to see is for historical purposes only. It is an almost daily snippet of 1010 Wins broadcast in New York City and the New York City metropolitan area. On my morning commute, I listened to this news broadcast and decided to share a snippet of the news for historical purposes. The mission is to record history.
The news watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good morning. 63 degrees. It is 9:40 on this Thursday, May 11th. I'm Susan Richard, and here's what's happening. With the migrant crisis expected to explode, Mayor Adams making some changes to the city's right to shelter rules. Congressman George Santos refusing to resign after pleading not guilty to a 13-count federal indictment. Donald Trump repeats false claims about 2020, disses the woman he sexually abused, and refuses to label Vladimir Putin a war criminal. The recap of last night's CNN town hall coming up. A 16-year-old now critical after being shot in the head in St. Albans. The Beatles again making music history. We'll explain. In sports, Knicks stay alive. They beat Miami at the Garden. Mets and Yanks both won. AccuWeather is gorgeous. Sunny today, the high 80. Wins News Time 9:41. Traffic and transit. Here's Karen Stewart.
All right. Well, we've got First Avenue reopened. Northbound between 15th and 16th Street. The accident that we had there is gone. So we're back in business over on First Avenue. Northbound, nope, make that southbound. Southbound at the Bruckner near Castle Hill Avenue. We've got an accident. We've got at least one lane blocked there. Castle Hill is right by the Bruckner interchange. There are slowdowns into the area as we check what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The Queensbound Whitestone Bridge is kind of heavy now out of the Bronx into mid-span. And we've got northbound Whitestone Expressway delays from 32nd Avenue to the Bronx span of the Whitestone Bridge. We've got Queensbound delays at the Throgs Neck, but into the Bronx we're okay, but you're going to sit on the Bruckner up into Bronx and Pelham Parkway. The inbound 59th Street Bridge is very heavy, equally now I'd say from Northern Boulevard and Queens Boulevard to the very busy inbound 59th Street Bridge. The inbound Queens Midtown Tunnel still has you jammed back to Grand Avenue on the westbound LIE. And over at the Hudson River, as we check what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels, we've got an inbound GW Bridge upper level way to 50. The lower level is 40. The Lincoln is 35 to 40, and so is the Holland, about a 35 to 40 minute delay. In New Jersey and Woodbridge, all lanes are still closed. On southbound 27 at New Dover Road, we've got a down pole from an accident yesterday afternoon. An alternate side of the street is in effect today citywide. Our next report is 9:51. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
The COVID-era rule that allowed the government to refuse asylum seekers at the border ends tonight. And ahead of that, Mayor Adams has made some changes to the local rules.
The mayor signing an executive order in effect for 5 days, basically suspending parts of the right to shelter mandate ahead of the end of Title 42. Josh Goldfein, staff attorney at the Legal Aid Society, breaks it down.
One has to do with what kind of shelter is provided to families with children and would prohibit them from placing families in congregate settings. One requires them to get families a placement the same night that they apply, if they apply by 10 p.m.
The suspension unnecessary, according to the executive director of the New York Immigration Coalition, Murad Awauda.
Say that we're expecting X amount of people is a little bit disingenuous at this moment because we don't know what's going to happen.
He says Title 8 will also allow border agents to turn migrants away if they have not gone through the proper channels to seek asylum. Samantha Liebman, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM at the Port Authority bus terminal.
Yeah, let's talk about Title 8. It comes with some fine print.
Everyone's been talking about, there's going to be a spike in migrant crossings after Title 42 ends because everybody thinks they can get into the country. Migrants are smart enough to understand the risks that Title 8 poses. They know that under Title 42 they can get kicked out and try again, but if you get kicked out under Title 8, there's a very good chance you can't try again for 5 years. And so what we've seen that I think has surprised a lot of people is a spike not after Title 42 ends later on tonight, but a spike that's been going on for really the last week.
That's correspondent Matt Rivers. NYC and at least one Hudson Valley region coming to a temporary truce over sending folks there.
Orange County Executive Steve Newhouse admits phone calls with New York City Mayor Adams have been tense, but there's an agreement, a pause. No migrants in Orange County hotels for now. Orange and Rockland have argued they don't have the infrastructure to handle the migrant crisis. Newhouse says there needs to be a plan.
First and foremost, the federal government has to make a decision. Are they going to get amnesty? Are they going to be staying in this country? Are we going to give them a pathway? I know most of these people, overwhelming majority, have fled a terrible situation.
Rockland County has taken the fight to court, arguing that New York City doesn't have the right to convert a Rockland hotel into a New York City shelter. Talks between the mayor and county executives continue. Sean Adams, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Orangetown.
As always, stay with 1010 Wins as we continue to watch this developing situation. Congressman George Santos pleads not guilty to a 13-count indictment on charges of money laundering, wire fraud, and making false statements in federal documents, but he says he's not going anywhere.
The word congressman will remain in front of George Santos's name. He made it clear after he pleaded not guilty in federal court yesterday that he will not step down. In fact, he plans to hold fundraisers for his re-election campaign. And although local Republicans have had enough of him, including Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, who says the serial fraudster should resign from office, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy says an indicted congressman has the right to vote and a right to go to trial. Two other Republicans, Stefanik and Scalise, seem to also be behind Santos, saying that the legal process has to play out in court. As for Santos, he's out on $500,000 bail. His next court date is June 30th. He faces 20 years in prison if convicted. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Nassau County, Long Island.
Among the allegations that Santos used campaign funds to pay off personal credit card debt and took COVID unemployment money when he actually had a job. 63 degrees, nice and sunny. We're heading up to 80 in Central Park. Over-the-counter birth control pills. We'll have that next on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
The tri-state area is tough and never backs down from a challenge. Bobby Fredericks from Lincoln Park, New Jersey, was born with chronic seizures and a learning disability, but has persevered thanks to Special Olympics.
These kids now that go to these other colleges, they're growing up in a culture that's more accepted. When I was going to school, that was not the culture at all.
Hear more of Bobby's story on the Agents of Inclusion podcast. Inspiring stories from the Special Olympics. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
Staples has everything to help small businesses do big things. Shipping supplies and services so you can fill big orders. The latest tech so you can create the next big thing. And now during Staples Small Business Deal Days, when rewards members spend $100 or more, they get $30 back in rewards to use on big things, little things, or anything they need. Plus, find new deals in-store every week on tech, office chairs, and shipping supplies. Because for small businesses, Staples knows savings are a big thing. Rewards offer ends 5/13. Limit 1. Redeemable in-store only.
Carrie, is this schedule the most updated?
There's a wedding season rush at Dr. Iona's dental practice.
You're fully booked this week. We can try and squeeze you in next Tuesday.
She needs a dental hygienist to unveil fresh smiles.
How long has 3 been under the UV light?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-485-6262. 800-485-6262. 800-485-6262.
The FDA's advisory panel unanimously signing off on an over-the-counter birth control pill.
The drug called Opal was first approved by the FDA in the 1970s. It needs to be taken every day at the same time within a 3-hour window in order to be effective. The advisory panel decided the benefits of the drug outweigh the risks. The maker of the drug has not talked about pricing. Over-the-counter medicines are usually cheaper than prescriptions, but generally insurance companies don't cover them. The Catholic Medical Association is among the groups that have raised objections to the pill. They say they were disappointed in the decision.
As correspondent Meg Oliver, O-pill does not contain estrogen like prescribed birth control. It's just got progestin, but is still effective if you take it properly. The final FDA decision is expected this summer. Wins News Time 9:49. Just one day after a Manhattan jury found him liable for sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll, Donald Trump stuck to his story during a CNN town hall.
I swear on my children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton appointed judge. He was horrible.
He also repeated this false claim.
We had a rigged election. I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged, Mr. President. You can't keep saying that all night long.
On the migrant crisis, he was asked by Caitlin Collins whether he'd reinstitute the policy that separated families.
We have to save our country, all right?
So it sounds like that's a yes.
You know, when you say to a family that if you come, we're going to break you up, they don't come. And we can't afford to have any more.
He also said on a separate subject that he would pardon many of the 1-6 rioters on the war in Ukraine.
Former President Trump asked if he wants Ukraine to push back the Russian invasion and win the war.
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
The former president claiming he could end the war in 24 hours. He also dodged the CNN town hall question on if Putin is a war criminal, saying that label would make it harder for him to make a deal with Russia. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
A 16-year-old now critical after being shot in the head in Queens. This was during some kind of argument between two groups of people at around 8:30 last night. This was in St. Albans outside PS 015. So far, no arrests and no word what that fight was about. Wins News Time 9:51. Traffic and transit every 10 minutes on the ones. And here's Karen Stewart.
The LIRR has been cleared. We are now running again down Richmond Avenue in Long Island City on or close to schedule. Earlier problems with a non-passenger train derailment have been rectified. The path is back on the Hoboken and World Trade Center lines, which is great news. Path has had problems all morning here and there. And on the subways, the Bronx-bound D trains are delayed after crews remove a vandalized train from service over at 36th Street. That Sawmill Parkway disabled is gone in Yonkers at exit 9. We're moving much better now. In New Jersey, if you're heading out into the Hudson River, here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Unfortunately, it's still 50 minutes for the inbound George Upper. It's 40 minutes for the George Lower, and 35 to 40 in at the Lincoln and inbound over at the Holland Tunnel. We've got construction on the eastbound LIE near Springfield Boulevard. There are delays there that go back to 164th Street. We are jammed to the Queens Midtown Tunnel on the westbound LIE from Grand Avenue, and from Northern Boulevard and Queens Boulevard's approaches, we're jammed to the inbound 59th Street Bridge. Alternate side is in effect. We're sponsored by the Meadowland Racetrack FanDuel Sportsbook. The FanDuel Sportsbook, located inside the Meadowlands, is the #1 sportsbook in North America. Open 7 days a week with tons of TVs and betting kiosks. For more information, visit meadowlands.com/FanDuel. 21 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Karen Stewart. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Upstate.